The first lesson in the book is a lesson that cancer taught me. It's called Life Isn't Fair, but It's Still Good. The hat always came back more faded yet stronger than ever. Frank started it. I had undergone my first chemotherapy, and I couldn't imagine being bald. Then I saw a guy wearing a baseball cap bearing these words, "Life is good." Life didn't feel good, and it was about to feel worse. So I asked the guy where he got the hat. 2 days later, Frank drove across town and brought me this hat that said, "Life is good." Frank is a magical kind of guy. He paints houses for a living. And he lives by 2 words, get to. They remind him to be grateful for everything life gives him. Instead of saying, I have to go to work today, Frank says, I get to go to work. Instead of saying, I have to get groceries, Frank says, I get to. Instead of saying, I have to take the kids to baseball practice, he gets to. It works on everything. The hat on anyone but Frank might not have carried the same power. It was navy blue with an oval patch that announced the letters in white letters. And life was good. Even though my hair fell out, my body grew weak, and my eyebrows fell off. Instead of wearing a wig, I wore this hat as my answer to cancer, as my billboard to the world. When people stared at a bald woman, they got this message back. Life is good. Gradually, I got well. My hair grew back. I put the hat away until a friend got cancer and asked about that hat I used to wear. She wanted one. At first, I didn't want to part with this hat. It was my binky. It was my security blanket. But I had to pass it on. If I didn't, the luck might run out. So she made a promise to get well and pass the hat on to another woman. Instead, she gave it back to me to pass on to another woman. We call it the Chemo hat. I don't know how many women have worn this hat. For 11 years, it's been making the rounds. I've lost count. So many women I know have been diagnosed with breast cancer. Arlene, Joy, Cheryl, Kay, Sheila, Joan, Sandy. Woman after woman have passed on this hat. When it came back to me, it always looked more tired and worn, but never had any hair on it because everybody was bald. But each woman had a new sparkle in their eyes. Everyone who wore the lucky Chemo hat is still alive and thriving. Last year, I gave it to my friend and coworker, Patrick. Patrick was diagnosed with colon cancer at age 37. Patrick got the hat, even though I wasn't sure it could tackle any kind of cancer. He told his mom about the hat, how this was now a link in the chain of survival. She found Life is Good Inc., the company that made the hat and makes other products with the motto. She called them and told them the story about the hat and ordered a whole box of caps. She sent them to Patrick's closest friends and relatives. They took pictures of themselves wearing the hat. All over the refrigerator, Patrick had pictures of his friends all over the country in Life is Good hats. I think they put them on some lawn ornaments too, like those little concrete geese for wearing the Life is Good hat. Meanwhile, the folks at Life is Good were moved by Patrick's mom. They held a staff meeting and challenged their employees in the spirit of the traveling lucky Chemo hat to pass their hats on to somebody else needing a lift. They sent Patrick a photo of all 175 of them wearing the hat. Patrick finished chemo and he's just fine. Patrick was lucky. He didn't lose his hair. It just thinned out. So he didn't wear the hat, but it touched him. He kept it at the bottom of the stairs, and every day before he left the house, he would look at this hat and see the message. It got Patrick through every day, even the bad ones. Patrick wanted to quit chemo like a lot of us do. When things get rough, we think, do I have to do one more treatment? And he looked at the hat and said, I can do this. Anyone with cancer has had those days. Even folks who haven't had cancer have had those days where you want to give up. It turns out it wasn't the hat, but the message on it that kept us all going, that keeps us all going. Life is good. Pass it on.